Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to WhatsMap, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Well, before we get started with today's show, a quick apology to all of those that turned up for Where on Earth Am I last night and wondered where on earth I was. Yes, I normally turned up and chat along with you guys in the live chat as the show was showing. The thing is, I'm a little bit behind on my recording schedule at the moment. I have not yet recorded this show. So I'm actually recording this very late of the same evening. Yes, I needed to get things organised. Now, today's map is by a creator we've not seen before. Big reason for that is...
it's my first map.
That's right. And it's packed with new and interesting ideas, including something we've never ever seen in a map before. But before we do any of that, we've got one of these. That's right, clicking that like button really does support the channel, gets me seen by more people and helps me grow a little bit more every single day. Thank you for your support. Today's map is Bella Vista by Syphon Faraday. Now, Syphon Faraday has been watching and keeping up with things, and they are very excited, no doubt right now, to be watching this review. You've got a start square that looks like that. It's pretty strong. I can't really grumble about the start square at all. Looks very nice. Terrain heights, it's either low, medium or high. There doesn't seem to be any in between. And then we have resources which are pretty strong, I've got to say, where they are isolated. And then if you have Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, it looks like this, including a very interesting little bit of anchovy just off the right hand coast there. Like I say, something we've never seen before. Off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, you'll want park life, you'll want industries, and you want mass transit. Now, I'm not quite sure how much is missing if you don't have park life and industries. Definitely if you've seen a few bits of park life. Not so sure about industries, but I'll believe the creator on that one. There is a pretty well written section there, including translated for Spanish, if you are into your Spanish. And then we have a one-click collection, including a few things which I would suggest are recommended rather than absolutely necessary. We'll be using Al's Albedo theme and the realistic 1.2 LUTs because none other one is specified. Okay, let's get down to ground level and have a quick fly over. Now, we're going to be going faster than normal today because, well, I think the show is currently running at 21 minutes. And so everything is running double speed. It just had to cram it all in. There's so much. So much. Now, the map itself, there's a lot about it there's some about it I really like, a lot about it I do like, and a few bits about it which I think are maybe not so good. It's the first map, you'd expect that. And there's one or two crimes. There's one or two crimes. We will get to those later on. Oh my goodness me. Including a stinker of a crime. Something we have seen before, but nothing that I've really grumbled about for the longest of times. And this one is probably the biggest sin of them all with this particular map builder's crime. So anyway, yes, we've got some lane mathematics going on, fairly smoothly done. I've seen a more polished attempt at that, but that's not too bad at all. Certainly nothing I'm going to be complaining about to anybody. And then the next intersection here, now that peels off and goes down towards the start square. That's not the start square down there, but it's a ready set start location if you want that. Now, I'm not quite sure what this is. At first, I thought it was actually a car showroom. I saw the cars lined up perfectly square, but who's going to buy a second-hand bad car like that? I'm not sure. I don't know what this is. We have also got one of the park life paths here that doesn't quite clip to the road. Let me just grab this. Let me get rid of that and just drop that down a little bit. That's a little bit better already. There's just a few little tweaky things like that can be done, but that's always the same with pretty much every map that we review. There'll be something somewhere you can give a little bit of a tweak, and I'm sure we'll find something a bit further on the fly through that we can tweak something else. The rivers, by the way, they're quite aesthetically pleasing. I don't think they're necessarily the most realistic or most exciting, but certainly very pleasing. And there's a lot of rocks gone into that river. A lot of rocks. Remember, there's a lot of rocks in the river. I'm not going to remind you too often of this, but there are. Just quite a few. And of course, with things like rocks, the rocks are I do believe they're they're props. I'm just trying to think whether the vanilla ones are buildings. The custom ones there are props, and there is a limit to the number of props that I can't remember the exact number, but once you get to that limit, you can't put any more down. Oh, start square intersection. This is very, very pretty indeed. That's very nicely done. I've got no grumbles with that. I think I'll handle a lot of traffic. There's your start square over there. That's where you're going to be building. Very neat and tidy. Quite like that. So yes, the prop says that the prop count, once you get to the prop count, you have to remove props. And there are tricks you can use, things like converting things to procedural objects, and so there are workarounds, but they are all, shall we say, advanced player workarounds. There's nothing simple. So while it's okay to have to go and have a lot of fun putting down props in the map, you don't really want to overdo it too much. That said, I don't think this is overdone too much. That bridge probably could do with the pillars on either side of the road. Maybe, do we even need a suspension bridge there? I don't know. Probably not. Next intersection, that one there, if we take that off to the left, we could do that in the second half of the show. We'll head off that way then. There's something down there I really want to show you. Really badly want to show you. It's the crime. Okay, I've told you about the crime. It's the crime. Let's do a little bit of tweaking here. These roads, I feel, would be certainly a better served by being a little bit low, especially when you look at this one over this side. It's pretty steep, that one. So yeah, you can sort out the gradient by grabbing all the nodes. Let me do that with move it. Oh, hang on, with move it. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to pause the simulation so the van stops dead. So when we drop them, the van will be flying. Look at it. Up there in the air. Looks a lot better. That looks a lot better. It's still not perfect. That was just a quick fix, but certainly a lot more believable with the gradients there. Now we'll head over to the rail. Now I haven't really looked into the rail too much, but what we've got here is a double single line, and then we have a single line. And I'm not sure. I saw a little. I think these just randomly spawned vanilla props there. I don't think that really affects things. I just thought they might have been actually operational, but no. Yeah, I don't know. Double single lines going down to single line. This has to be in one way. This has to be one-way route, surely. Now, I haven't actually checked to see. You may want to come along and fix this to a double line. I'm assuming it's working. I kind of ran out of time to come back and actually test the rail just to see if the rail would work smoothly. I'm sure it does. I'm sure Syphon Faraday would not inflict a broken rail line on us. Have you? No, I'm sure you haven't. Now, the rail heads straight on, or we can take a left. The left will take us down and through the start square. So this is pretty neat. You can actually get a station down and start building from your opening square, which is pretty cool. And then that bends off again to the left and off to the edge of the map. But I want to go up to this little plateau up here, because we've actually got a rail line up here, which as you can see, terminus rail line there. And then this heads off through the hills. Now, this isn't by no means any imagination. This isn't a realistic map. It's a stylistic map more than I wouldn't say fantasy map, but it's more fantastical than it is realistic. So it would fall into that category of being a fantasy map, even though it's not strictly. The gradients are a little bit steeper than a real life would allow, but on a map like this, it's certainly not hideous. It's certainly not hideous, and we have seen hideous. We have some nice rail switchbacks there, and rail switchback there, which take us off to the edge of the map. Right, anyway, I'm going to quickly switch across to the intermission. When we come back the other side of this, we'll check out the shipping, and the water flow.
Do you have trouble knowing how to start a new city? Do you need to return to the absolute basics just this once? Don't worry, I won't tell. Then you need BonBonB's Beginner's Guide to Your First City. Click the information button now.
And back to the shipping, not the fishing. Now I think the shipping line goes a little bit close to this essential lighthouse down here. It's not too close, but I think in real terms they would have taken a slightly wider berth around there. Nice little shipping triangle there, squished shipping triangle, but it still works perfectly fine. And then this goes off the edge of the map over here, which is all good. Now water flow, we have a working river system, which is certainly adequate for our needs. No grumbles. There's all those rocks put in for detailing. Why not? Why not? You got them. You can use them. And we haven't used up all of the rocks by doing this. We got some pre-built infrastructure there. I'm not quite sure where the pumps are. That's a weird thing. And we've got a sewage outflow position over there, which is missing as well. But let's not worry about that. Doesn't matter. Now let's just check, make sure we have wind where we have our wind farm. We sure do. There you go. Credit for that one. Yes. Can you imagine if that was put in like a non-windy position? No, done a very good job there, Syphon. Some pre-cut harbours, which are very nice, clean and tidy. This ship heading down towards the essential lighthouse. Wide berth, please. And this is quite nicely done. We've also got a little ship down here, which is quite nice, quite neat. Now, this is the part of the map that I really like, the flat area. I've got the name Bella Vista there, which is quite neat. Also, if you come down here and look under the water, absolutely nothing to see, correct? Absolutely nothing to see. Now, if you pull back far enough, come on, pull back. Get it all lined up, something like about there. Now we go down to there, look, it's in fishing, it's drawn out in anchovies. That's quite cleverly done. It's the first time we've seen that, and it works very nicely indeed. But yeah, this part of the map I really like. I mean, genuinely, not slightly, I really like. A lot more rocks done. So we're using up our rock count here, aren't we? We're using up a lot of rocks. Yes, there's a lot of rocks down there as well. And then let's come over here. This part of the map I also quite like. We've got a good sized beach. It transitions nicely through the palm trees into this sort of tree. Then we have a nice shape with the lakes there as well, and a nice clean railway lined along with trees as well, like this area too. However, when we come over here, we've got a good transition going from the fields into the hill, but then these tree lines are just a bit blunt. I'd like to see it tempered through. And we've got some really nice conifers here as well. So maybe if we could blend the conifers on the edge and up into the hills a bit, that would make that line a little bit less sharp. Then we move on up into the hills and past the rail line there. And so we've got a good solid mass of conifers there as well. Now the lake. Like this island over here, I quite like this island. Good shape. We've got a couple of tiny little outlying islands as well. The thing is, you can actually see the plate that the island is built upon, and then these just drop away. So I would like to see that just like smoothed out a little bit. I don't mind the islands being there, but they look a little bit weird because of their location on the plate. Then you've got another one of these rivers and more of these rocks. There's a lot of rocks being used there, using up the prop count a little bit, but we haven't gone too crazy, so I think we can let that go. Check the placement of the pier. The pier is very nicely done as well. Then we've got some nice switchbacks here and some interesting tree work. If you have a look at the trees, it's kind of like a pine cone. You can actually see the curves going on, the Fibonacci sequence curves. It's almost like the whole thing was drawn out in prop line tool. That's the word I'm looking for. But I don't think it was, but it looks like it does. And yet over here, this is all kind of random. I'd like to see a little bit of blending from one style of a tree painting to the other. Got this plateau up here, which there's not really too much to talk about, but it's quite nice to have. And then over here we've got a nice bold mix of trees in this valley. And then more switchbacks, and I think the tree work on these switchbacks is much nicer. We've got it cleanly lined, we've got some decorative trees, and we've got blending between the conifers and those decorative trees up and into the hills. I think that looks a lot better like that. Again, back to here, you can actually see the lines and the curves. What's a prop line tool used for this? It could well have been, you know. And then over here, we've got like random tree brush again. I'd like to see a little blending as well between the organised and the random there as well. Anyway, heading up to the top of this hill, we'll find, ooh, it's a castle. It's more of a stately home than a castle. And there's a lot of good work going on here. You can actually see that this creator has watched a lot of What Map. Now that footpath that you can see, it doesn't quite connect, which is why we've got a little bit of grey at the end of it. So it'd be nice to see it connected. Also like to see a lot of trees moved up around the outside and sort of like blending to some thinner trees around the nearer the walls, and then to remove some of the trees from inside and have some, maybe a small copse or like a little orchard inside maybe. Now, what's next is off that edge there, that's a waterfall. We're going to have a look at the waterfall from the opposite direction, and that's where the crime is going to be. But before we see that, let's have a little smile. Over here we have a little island. It's not really a Bonbon Island, but I do like it. It's the SOS Island with hashtag SOS. And we've got the Troll's Cave on the top as well. It's good to see. It's a fun little thing, and I think credit for that one. Now if we head off towards the crime of the century. And bear in mind everything I've said about prop count and rocks. Now, this area, once these trees have gone, is quite boring. Yeah? So I can understand why Syphon Faraday wants to make this next area look a little bit different. A change of biome. Well, they've certainly done that by putting down every single rock that's available to man. They have gone rocktastic around here. And there's a lot of them. There are a lot. And again, there's no transition or blending at the edge. It just starts, and I don't know that it looks any better than it would have done without the rocks. Syphon, I think you've overdone it a little bit. I think you've just gone a little bit doolah. So anyway, yes, if you find yourself running out of props, if you're playing on this map, come around here, delete some of these, and you'll have plenty. And then you've got the waterfall there, which is fine. Nothing wrong with the waterfall. It's fine. Right, okay, let's head back to the start square area. Oh no, forgot the waterfall over here. I like this waterfall. I like the way that we've used the vanilla rock there, that slanty one, on its top there. And that works quite nicely. So I'm going to give credit for that one. Having just butchered the rocks. There's so many rocks. Anyway, back to the start square, and we have an asset. An asset of the day. This one's by HypoSim, and it's just another residential number 18. They've been doing a few just another residentials, and I've been looking at HypoSim's this style of building, and do you know who it reminds me of? High praise here. Ronix 69 looks very much like some of their work. So, well, I mean, if you're getting likened to that, it's like making a tree and somebody saying, that looks like a Mr. Maison tree. Yeah, it's high praise. Anyway, factoids, because factoids. Each time, no, that's a rubbish one. Ignore that one. Approximately 4 million people attended the open-air funeral of President Nasser of Egypt. 4 million people, open air. I mean, why not? Why not? You can be in a state mourning. Imagine what it's going to be like in the United Kingdom when Her Majesty finally passes. Anyway, just another residential 18 by HypoSim. Very nice work. And we can pull back, and I'm starting to get wheezy now. Luckily, right at the end of the show now, so I should be able to make it to the end of the show without my inhaler. Right, so anyway, what do you think of today's map? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Click the I button now in the top right hand corner of your screen. It will take you to the voting page where you can vote for free with a Facebook, Gmail, or a Patreon account, or even Apple. Still can't get over that. So anyway, what do I think of today's map? I think this area here I really like. I'd like to see more of the map looking like this. I don't think Syphon's skills really extend to hills. So I'm gonna go for a medium high 3. It doesn't quite pop across the map, but this area very nice. Detailing, there's a lot of detailing. Unfortunately, while there are some very nice little areas, there's a lot of areas which I think are flawed, and for many reasons. many reasons. So I'm gonna go again. I think it justifies a medium-high 3. Gameplay. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I think the road layout and the potential for a city build is there. So I'm gonna go for a 4, but I'm going at the bottom end of 4 because prop count. It's not really acceptable to have that many props doing absolutely nothing for no purpose. Bella Vista by Syphon Faraday. That was not a bad for a first map. Some really interesting ideas. I was really very impressed with the signing of the name in anchovies. Don't think anybody's ever done that ever. In real life, let alone in the game. So all credit for that one. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, for commenting, for liking and for subscribing. If you're still here, you're part of the 20 and out elite. Use the word of the day into the comments as part of a sentence if you can, to show you're part of the elite. And I'll be back tomorrow with another map in the What's Map series. Thanks for watching. Oh, I'm still here. Oh, now I've gone.